Do the differences in the gospel accounts prove they were merely the product of human minds long after Jesus' time?
They're saying stuff like this. You got the gap, and of course we got these letters, the New Testament books over here, the 27 books and letters over here, all right? But they're saying now, how did this come about? Some will say, well, they just invented that. This has no relationship to this. Or they can say there's a process, an evolving of thought that you can see coming in. How do you counter that?
Well, the first thing is to be aware of how they go about doing this. And the way they go about doing this is they do point out differences and angles, different things that are being said between the documents. So they play off of the differences in the documents. And then they fill in that gap with their answer. This obviously, the first source didn't say this. We don't have any evidence of it up to this point. So this new thing is something that's coming from the writer. It's coming from somewhere else. It doesn't go back to Jesus. That's how they're dealing with the material. What we would suggest is that there is an oral tradition process. The oral tradition process is a much bigger pool of things that the church is aware of than simply what's written down. And people are making choices about what it is that they present. And so one writer chooses one set of details, another writer may work with another set of details that they're aware of in the tradition. And so that's not invention. Difference doesn't equal invention, and difference doesn't equal contradiction.
For sure. I mean, just think of all the people that saw Jesus do a miracle. I mean, he's doing miracles, miracles, miracles. He's teaching in different places. So guys that are in that village, they hear it. They got a slice of Jesus' life, okay? And they might write down that little slice, and another guy who was there, he might write it down. It's like a guy seeing an accident, 4 people seeing an accident. They all have little different details, same accident, all right? This information has been put into the New Testament in terms of how did Matthew see it? How did Mark see it? How did Luke record it, you know? And how did the Apostle John remember it, and how did they structure it? Now, they didn't just do a photocopy of the first one and said, yeah, I was there, that happened, photocopy, put my name on it. They added other things that they thought was important, probably because they were talking to different groups of people.
Yeah, in fact, in the case of the Gospel of John, about 88% of the Gospel of John isn't replicated in either Matthew, Mark, or Luke. So it's clear that John came along and said, I'm going to give you a whole fresh take on what's going on with Jesus and tell you a whole bunch of things that aren't in what we call the synoptic tradition. The synoptics are Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And it's these kinds of differences that are played off of skeptically. Even beyond that, you actually have an additional problem, because this is a full court press that you're getting. Not only are there questions about Jesus, not only questions about the Bible, there's questions even about God. So the idea of God performing miracles and that kind of thing, that's also on the table. So literally when you go and you open this Bible and you sit there and say, you know, the opening words say God created, or later on it says God said. I mean, those are 2-word sentences, and you can't know about the first word in that sentence.